Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to another edition of Breaking News. Today is Tuesday, the 6th day of August, 2024, and it looks like the war in the Middle East is about to break out. It hasn't started yet with intense fighting, but we've had a couple of instances. At least five U.S. personnel were injured on an Iranian-aligned attack on U.S. forces in the country of Iraq late last night. At least five were hurt, one critically in a Hezbollah drone attack in the Western Galilee. The intense fighting is still to come as Iran is moving rocket launchers into position and Russia is delivering advanced air defenses to Iran at its request. Let's look at the headlines. Headline number one: Iran-aligned attack on U.S. forces in Iraq is a dangerous escalation, says Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. At least five U.S. personnel were injured in an attack against a military base in Iraq on Monday, U.S. officials told Reuters. Iran was behind this attack against American forces. They're stationed at the Al-Asad airbase in western Iraq. This is both from Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, and the Defense Secretary of Israel, Yoav Gallant. They both warned this late on Monday that this is a dangerous escalation. They spoke as the region braced for an Iranian attack against Israel, along with additional potential attacks by the Islamic Republic proxy groups, including Hezbollah in Lebanon. The first response, however, appears to have occurred in Iraq as two Katyusha rockets were fired at the Al-Assad air base, with one Iraqi security source saying the rockets fell inside the base. And at least five U.S. personnel were injured in the attack on this military base. The base personnel are conducting a post-attack damage assessment, one of the officials said. The Pentagon said Gallant and Austin spoke of the attack as, quote, Iranian aligned and agreed it was marking a dangerous new escalation and demonstrated that Iran is now, continuing to destabilize the whole region of the Middle East. Austin reiterated that there is an unwavering U.S. commitment to Israel's security in the face of threats from Iran, Lebanese Hezbollah, and other Iran-aligned militia groups, the Pentagon said. Austin also updated Gallant on measures to strengthen U.S. military personnel in the region in light of this escalating situation. President Joe Biden issued a statement on social media that he and Vice President Kamala Harris were briefed in the Situation Room regarding developments in the Middle East. Now, he said that we've received updates. We've discussed the steps we're taking to defend our forces and respond to any attack against our personnel in a manner and place of our choosing. Now, here's the problem. Of course, the U.S., as usual, does not respond right away. This has been the norm since last October 7th, since the incursion came from Hamas into Israel. Instead of responding with overwhelming firepower, the U.S. engages in worthless diplomatic efforts to calm things down, makes a lot of threats, but really doesn't do anything. So this is not the proper response of a superpower, but it certainly fits what the scripture teaches about the position of the U.S. in the last days. In other words, we're non-existent as far as Bible prophecy is concerned. When the Ezekiel 38-39 invasion does take place sometime later, the U.S. is a non-player. There'll be no involvement whatsoever. In our book, 25 Signs, we're near the end. We document this in signs 9 through 11, particularly sign 11. No superpower will intervene on Israel's behalf when they are invaded. Ezekiel 38-39. Something will happen to the United States. And this book is, of course, on our website, Educating Our World. It is a free download, as is all of our books. We have 12 on the subject of Bible prophecy, 65 in total. Please take advantage of it. This is from 25 Signs. We're near the end. So as we see, the U.S. is daily losing the perception of its superpower status in the world. Depending on the presidential election, it's going to go one of two ways. Either we'll regain our status temporarily, or we will lose it for good. And again, we wait to find out what happens in November for that. All right, headline number two. At least five are hurt, one critically in a Hezbollah drone strike on Western Galilee. At least three attack drones infiltrate Israeli airspace, according to Lebanese reports, in a heavy barrage of rockets. The UAVs, one landing near the coastal city of Nahariya, caused injuries. Earlier, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, struck a town 30 kilometers north of the Lebanon-Israeli border. Again, at least five people were hurt, one critically when Western Galilee came under heavy fire from Hezbollah rockets and attack drones. Now, they said they aimed the fire at a military base near Acre after an Israeli strike on South Lebanon reportedly killed one of its leaders here. Now, the Lebanese foreign minister, and here's the bottom line here, Abdallah Rashid Bou Habib, who was visiting Egypt, said the Beirut government was working to avoid an all-out war. We hope there would not be a strong Hezbollah response that would lead to a broad war, he said at a news conference held with his Egyptian counterpart Bad Abdeldateri. Now, whether or not there is a strong Hezbollah response, the time is overdue for Israel to destroy the capabilities of Hezbollah on its northern border. Enough is enough. And they will use this opportunity, believe me, if some type of regional war breaks out and Hezbollah enters in, to devastate the forces of Hezbollah. And it's going to be bloody, it's going to be horrible, but it's something that has to happen because you've got some 80,000 people at least that live in that area that have had to move to various parts of Israel because of the shelling that's continuously gone on since the 8th of October. Now, headline number 3, the U.S. confirms that Iran is moving launchers ahead of an attack on Israel. The U.S. identifies military activities in Iran, indicating that preparations for an attack on Israel are underway. Over the weekend, Iran began moving missile launchers and conducting military drills, U.S. officials told the Wall Street Journal. According to the officials, such activities indicate that Iran is preparing to attack Israel in the coming days. They also noted that the Biden administration is concerned that an Iranian attack may be accompanied by an attack by Hezbollah and other Iranian proxies in an attempt to overwhelm Israel's defenses. Security sources told the Lebanese Al-Anbaa newspaper that they estimate that Hezbollah will attack Israel in the coming days, the next week at the latest. At the same time, the front page of the Hezbollah-affiliated Al-Akbar newspaper featured a picture of Tel Aviv with the heading, "Whether it happens earlier or later, the punishment will come." Now remember, Israel has basically 7 different places where attacks can come from. 7. Not only Lebanon, but also Syria next door, Iraq, which we just already saw an attack on one of the military bases, the West Bank, Judea, Samaria, of course, Hamas there in Gaza, and then way down south with the Houthis there in Yemen. And of course, finally, last but not least, is Iran itself. 7 different areas where attacks can come from. How many of the 7 will be involved? We don't know. Now, here's what's interesting. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah is expected to speak Tuesday at 5 p.m., 1 week after the terror group's second in command, Fuad Shakur, was confirmed eliminated in a strike. That'll be about an hour and a half from now. It's a little after 5 in the morning as we're recording this Pacific Coast time. And so, and about an hour and a half from the time we're filming this, Nasrallah should make some type of speech, and we'll see what he says. Of course, we'll document that later on our second edition of Breaking News. Unless the war does break out, then we will immediately come on the air and talk to you about what's taking place. So in less than 2 hours, we should hear from this cowardly leader of Hezbollah. All right, headline number 4. Russia is delivering advanced air defenses to Iran at its request. Iranian officials quoted by the New York Times confirmed that Russia has begun delivering advanced air defenses and radar equipment to Iran after officials in Tehran asked the Kremlin for the arms. Iranian officials quoted by the New York Times said on Monday, including a member of the Revolutionary Guard Corps, they confirmed that Russia has begun delivering advanced air defense and radar equipment to Iran after officials in Tehran asked the Kremlin for arms. The comments follow a report in the Iranian media that Iran has requested these air defense systems from Russia to prepare for a possible war with Israel. A top Russian security official, Sergei Shoigu, arrived in Tehran on Monday to meet with the senior officials. According to Iranian media, he in the past has served as Russia's defense minister, met with the new president of Iran, Pezeshkian, and the commander of the Iranian Armed Forces, General Mohammad Bagheri. He also reported with the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Council. Now, what's interesting here, the report underscores the deepening of defense cooperation between Iran and Russia, which has mainly been seen during the war in Ukraine. In July of 2022, UN National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said the U.S. has intelligence indicating Russia is looking to Iran for the UAVs. Later, it was reported that Iran began training Russians to use its drones, though it was also noted that Russia is experiencing numerous failures and technical glitches with the drones it purchased from Iran. Not surprising. A subsequent U.S. intelligence finding said Iran is providing Russia with materials to build a drone manufacturing plant east of Moscow as the Kremlin looks to lock in a steady supply of weaponry with its ongoing invasion of Ukraine. And so basically, the Washington Post has reported that Russia is preparing, with the help of Iran, to produce more than 6,000 attack drones by 2025. Now, this is very important to understand what's going on here. It is not surprising that Russia and Iran continue to help each other. This has been going on for a number of years. We reported this for a number of years. The three leaders of the country had met, Putin, the Ayatollah there, and Erdogan, Turkey, have been meeting in the different capitals. Turkey, either in Ankara, either in Russia, or either in Iran. So the three of them have met at times over the years. And so particularly Iran and Russia have been working together since the Ukrainian invasion a couple of years back. And again, like we said, this is not surprising. Russia is helping Iran right now. So it's not surprising to see this. It's been going on for years. But again, we emphasize, if a regional war breaks out now with Russia giving some defense systems to Iran, this, no matter whether this war is large or small, it has nothing with the predicted Ezekiel 38-39 invasion in the last days. Scripture teaches that it's a Russian-led invasion with a number of specific countries that will be involved, none of which, except for Iran, are involved right now in this attack against Israel. In other words, if these 7 different proxies of Iran and the 6 different proxies would attack Israel right now, none of them are indicated to be part of the Ezekiel 38-39 invasion. So don't make the mistake of thinking it is. Again, see Appendix 5 in our book, 25 Signs. We're near the end, for at least 10 reasons why this particular military campaign has nothing to do with what the scripture predicts will happen in the last days. Now, remember, here on Breaking News, we start and we end first and foremost with scripture. What does the Bible say will happen at the time of the end? And like we give this analogy, what scripture does is basically give us, the last chapter of a book, the last act of a play, the last scene of a movie. So we know how everything is going to end. Right? We know there'll be a Russian invasion at the time of the end with a number of nations, including Iran and Turkey, who are subordinates to Russia. Now, when that will happen, we don't know. What will lead to it, we don't know. We know the United States is not a player in this. And this is very important to understand, because when this Russian leader gets an evil thought to lead the invasion, he will lead the invasion. He doesn't worry for 1 second about any nation coming to the aid of Israel militarily, and none does. This is not true now. The U.S. is ready to fight and will help Israel militarily in the future. They will not. The U.S. will not be a player in the last days Bible prophecy. We've emphasized that time after time. So please understand what the scripture says. Again, we have the information there on our website, Educating Our World, particularly our book, 25 Signs. We're near the end, where we go into detail about the various signs that we expect to see. And as we've indicated, not only the 25 signs are being fulfilled, but 70 specific details of these 25 signs have already been fulfilled, already set in place, and 30 more are getting ready to be fulfilled. So it's amazing how God knows the future. He's told us what's going to happen, so we don't have to be ignorant. And it fits what Daniel chapter 12, 8-10 said long ago, when Daniel heard all these things about the time of the end. He says, I don't understand. I don't get it. And he was told, Daniel, you won't understand. At the time of the end, the wise will understand. The wicked will never understand. And sign number 25 of our 25 signs we're near the end is simply this. We can understand what's going on. That's why we do this here every day, to tell you what's going to happen in the future, simply because God has laid it out for us. So if we just look at the textbook, if we look at the instruction manual of the Bible, we know what's going to happen. All right, we'll keep in touch with you. I'm Don Stewart. Again, thanks for watching. And as events warrant, we'll be back with you on another edition of Breaking News. Until then, as always, may the Lord richly, richly bless.